All right. Hola a todos. Bienvenidos a esta lección. Ya estamos en la semana número 4. Es increíble. This is the last lesson in week 4. And next week, you go on and start talking about words associated with families. And we'll talk about your families and my family and how to appropriately converse about our families. So for today, we're going to look at other things having to do with numbers to start off with. Chapter 2.4 takes you from numbers 31 all the way up to a bazillion. So we're going to go through that. And this first one, we're going to talk about numbers 31 through 100, basically. If you go back and look at just the PowerPoint for this lesson, there is an audio. You see in the bottom right corner, it says click to hear audio. I'm not going to play that for you because it's literally somebody going through and pronouncing all these numbers 31 through 100 and having you repeat them. So we won't spend that much time, but on the PowerPoint, and you can also access it through SuperSite, you'll have a chance to listen to better and more pronunciation of all the numbers. So the key to learning numbers 31 through 100 is really, again, to learn the tens. And once you learn the tens, you just fill in and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, etc. One thing interesting here with the numbers 31 through 100 is that now we're using 3 separate words. We talked, especially in the teens and the 20s, that most common is to see those written as one word, 21, with an I instead of a Y, because that's how it's pronounced, and all written down as one word. You can say 21, 3 separate words, but for 31 through 99, that's the only way to do it. There is no one word with these 3 parts combined. So for 31, it's 31, 3 separate words. So I'm going to repeat out loud the tens, and then pause for a second for you to repeat after me so you can hear how those tens are pronounced. So clase, we already know 30 is 30, 40 is 40, 50 is 50, 60, 60, 70 is 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, and 100 is 100. And there's another version, ciento. Okay? So 30, 30, 31, 32. And again, even though we're writing it as 3 separate words, you don't have to pronounce it slowly. You'll hear it, it'll sound like one word to you. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and go on from there. So again, I won't repeat them all, but you'll have the recording that will give you another example of hearing all those numbers. All right, so something interesting, again, is that we use 3 separate words. Hay 92 exámenes, hay 42 estudiantes. So the numbers must be written as 3 separate words. From 16 through 29, they can be written by 3 separate words or one word with the I instead of the Y, but there is not that option for these numbers. Okay, now one thing that is different, and I don't really have a good reason, it's just kind of the way it is that when the words end in uno, so 31, 41, 51, 61, 71, 81, 99, the uno becomes an un when it's before a masculine noun, and an una before a feminine noun. So again, there's going to be plural because we're talking 41 things, right? So the noun is going to be plural, and we don't make it unos, we make it just un. So you drop the O, make it un for a masculine noun, and then change it to una before feminine noun. So clase, repitan. Hay 31 chicos. There are 31 guys. Hay 31 chicos. Okay? When it's female, hay 31 chicas. There are 31 girls. Hay 31 chicas. Again, so we're not making that plural, but we are changing it from masculine and feminine. And that's just a rule. You're just going to, again, it doesn't seem to be a lot of logic with it as far as why it doesn't go to plural, but it stays singular, but it does change from masculine and feminine. And then when we count to 100, we say for the number 100, there's 100 or cientos. So 100 is used before nouns. So again, we're talking about the number 100 itself, and when you're counting. So if you're going 99, 99, 99, 100, the number 100 when you're counting is cien. The words una, uno are never used before cien. So cien by itself means 100. You don't say un cien or un ciento. There's no one that goes in front of it. The number is just 100 as it is. To say hundreds, we say cientos. So you'll hear this a lot. On the second example, ¿cuántos libros hay? Cientos. There are hundreds of them. It just means a big number, like a bazillion. Again, cien by itself means 100. It's used before nouns. So hay 100 libros y 100 sillas. So it's not changing for masculine or for feminine. 100 libros, 100 sillas. And then cientos, just by itself, just means a large number, hundreds. Okay, so we are going to go through this together because now you're going to learn the hundreds. And if you look at, I've marked 3 of them that are different enough that you'll want to just memorize those. So for 100, we say cien, clase, cien. For 101 and all the other numbers through 199, we say 101, clase 101, 102, 103, etc. Okay. Now for 200, it's 200, clase 200, 300, 400, 500. Now, again, if you're watching, watch my mouth because we're really going wide. Ki, it's like ki, son 500. 600. 600. 600. 700. 700. Again, it's not 700, it's 700. 800. 800. 900. 900. So not 900, right? So 500 is 500, 700, 700, 900, 900. Now, just when you've mastered that, the tens and the 100s, you're going to be able to count to 999. And then with just a couple more words, you'll be able to go up through there. Now, notice that the hundreds do change. 500, 700, 800. If the noun is feminine, then that ciento does change. Okay, on the right side, we're going to go from 1,000 to 1,000,000. So we have mil. Mil by itself is just 1,000. And same thing with we don't put un in front of that. So just 1,000 is mil. And then we just start adding on. So 1,100. 1,101, right? 1,101 would be 1,101. 2,000, 5,000, 100,000, 200,000, 550,000. For a million, 1,000,000. 8 millones, because now it's plural. So once you know this format, you can use any number and count super high. So some reviews. We use ciento, not cien, to count over 100. Cien by itself is 100. We use ciento after that. 110, 118, 150. Now, the numbers 200 through 999 do agree in gender with the nouns they modify. So 324 plumas is 324 plumas, right? We said ciento does change for masculine and feminine. So if the noun is feminine, and it's going to be plural because it's more than one, then the cientos changes to cientas. So clase repitan. 324 plumas. 431 casas. Okay. On the right side, again, when it's just right, when it's masculine, 3,505 libros. 6,701 vasos. Okay, and again, the un, because we said un doesn't change, we dropped the o from uno to un before masculine noun, even though it's plural. Okay, so the cientas and the una do change to match the feminine part. Okay, I'm not going to read through this. You would die of boredom if I started going out loud with all these numbers. But here's a great spelling example for all of these numbers. Notice that the numbers after 31 are separate words. In fact, let me go back on this one. You will hear, and it's not inappropriate to put an and. So for 3,505 libros, 3,505 libros, The E is not necessary, but it's also not wrong. You could say 3,505 libros. It's not quite as common, but it's not incorrect to say that. Okay, so again, here is especially for spelling, and you want to look at the irregular ones. Most of the tens are irregular, whereas the hundreds, you could figure out without that exception of those three, the 500, 700, 900 that are different. Okay, so as far as mil, we said that mil means 1,000. Okay, we don't put un in front of it, but the plural form, miles, is not used in front of a plural noun. You don't say 2,000 libros. We would just say 2,000 libros. And just like cientos can mean hundreds, miles can mean thousands. So the first example on the bottom, hay miles de personas en el estadio. There are thousands of people in the stadium. Hay cientos de libros en la biblioteca. There are hundreds of books in the library, and it's just a big number. Okay, it's just a way to express that. But again, cientos we do make plural, whereas mil we do not. It stays when it's with a specific noun, specific noun, it stays mil. So 2,000 libros. Okay. So again, just an exception. No reason I can tell you why it's in that way. Now for millón, for million, we have to use the word de afterwards. So when million or millón or millones is used before a noun, the word de is placed between the millón or the millones and the sustantivo, the noun. So 1 million hombres is 1 millón de hombres. 12 millones de casas. So with millón, you do put de, so a million of houses, basically what you're saying. But we do add the de between any form of millón and the noun ones. Okay, so here we go. There is going to be a recording. I'm going to play the recording. First, I'll have you look through these, number your papers. And on this one, you notice on the right side, it goes GHJ. It skipped I to not make it look like a number. So it's 12 answers. So number on your papers 1 through 12, or A through M, skipping I. You got a number written out with numerals, and you're going to spell out the numbers that are associated with that question. So I'm going to number your papers, and what I'll do is you'll want to listen. If you don't get it done, then pause the video, because before it goes on, I won't pause the video for sound. But if you don't have it done, then just pause the video, because I'll be revealing the answer. Okay, here we go. Well, that didn't work. Let's just do this together. Okay, clase 102 is 102. So clase repitan, 102. Okay, letter B, 5 million. So write in your paper, 5 million. The words. Okay, if you're not done, pause it, because here's the answer. 5 millones. Clase repitan, 5 millones. Okay, letra C, 201. Pause your paper, or pause the recording. So you can take a second, write down how to say 201 in Spanish. Okay, here it goes. 201. Clase repitan, 201. Letra D, 76. Pause, write it down. Aquí va la respuesta, 76. Clase repitan, 76. Letra E, 92. Clase repitan, 92. 92. Letra F, 550,300. Okay. 550,300. 550,300. Clase repitan, 550,300. Okay. Letra G, 235. 235. Letra H, 79. 79. Letra J, skipping I, 113. 113. Letra K, 88. 88. Letra L, 497. 497. And letra M, 17,123. 17,123. Okay, so you're just breaking it down into its different components. Now notice, notice here that these numbers, we have periods, not commas. And I think I have a slide coming up that addresses that, but you've obviously seen it here. So in Spanish, in most Latin countries, they will use periods where we use commas, decimal points, instead of commas, basically. So you'll see that, and it's not; those are not decimal points to us; those are periods where we would use commas. It is getting not uncommon to see commas in Spanish-speaking countries as they become more and more familiar with more approximate of what they do in America. But for now, we got periods instead. Okay, so for this one, you're going to listen again. You're going to hear audio. It's going to call out a number for you. And this time you're going to write the numbers, the numerals, instead of the words.
2. Dictado. Listen carefully and write each number as numerals rather than words.
1. 534.
534.
2. 389. 3. 1275. 4. 791. 5. 2.164.000. 6. 956. 7. 15.670. 8. 142. 9. 694.
Okay, check yourself. If you missed more than one, go back, throw away your paper, number 1 through 9 again, and do them again. You won't remember the answers, so try again. And if you need more of a pause between the dictation and how long it takes you to write your answer, then just pause the video and come back. But this is something you'll need to be able to do, is hear and recognize the number. So it's one thing to be able to say the number, but it's something else to be able to hear it and recognize it. So good luck. You got this. Okay, one thing just really quickly to finish up this section on numbers is there really is not a formalized way in Spanish of how to read out a number. In English, we kind of get into a system. You read the, 602, you read the area code, 208, 555, 1212. In Spanish, there's not, but there are two common ways. So one way, first bullet point, is to read every single number. 208, 555, 1212. Okay. With American numbers, you'll hear the pause after the area code, the first 3 digits, pause the next 4 digits. In a lot of Latin countries, they go in series of 2s. And so you hear like 20, 47, 63, 89. Those are the phone numbers. So they'll break them up into smaller sections because ours numbers are already broken up into 3, 3, and 4. Then people will use that system as they put the pauses in. The other way is to break them up into pairs and to use combined numbers. So for example, 208, 208, ¿verdad? 208, 555, so 555, 12. So it really is just, you'll need to be able to recognize that because someone's going to tell you their phone number. And you'll want to know what all the digits are, but also find a way to tell people what your digits are. Now, one thing I thought was interesting here for Idaho is why would you not say for 208, why would you not say 28, 20 and 8? So think about that for a second. Why would you not say my area code is 28? And because that sounds a heck of a lot like 28, right? So 28 is going to sound like you're saying my area code is 28 and someone has dropped a digit. I'm in Arizona. Our area code is 480, so everybody says 480. is what we say for our area code. The other side of Phoenix is 602, and everybody says 62, so 60 and 2 for that one, or 602. You'll hear people say also 602. So anyway, what I want you to do is write down your own phone number and just practice reading it, 1, digit by digit, and then 2, look at the combination of your numerals and think what is the best way that you would be able to communicate it to somebody. So read it out just number by number, every single number, pausing appropriately, and then what other combinations can you use to help somebody to understand your phone number. If you're working at a place, I know in your bios, a lot of you said you're working at dental practices or at other medical practices or at restaurants or the businesses, so take your office number. If you were to have to tell somebody, oh, you need a good dentist, here's my dentist number, how would you communicate that in Spanish? So lots of good stuff. The last part is just the year. In Spanish, you never, ever, ever, ever break down the year into two-digit numbers. So like saying this 2023 does not work, not even close in Spanish. So you always will say 2023. So this year is 2023. Okay, so always 2023. You can't break it down. You can't tell somebody, oh, I graduated from high school back in 04. That means nothing. You always say I graduated from high school in 2004. For many of you, 2021, 2022, whatever it was last year. But you can't break it down into 2 separate numbers. And then remember that 1,000 is mil, not un mil. So for those of us who were born in the 1900s, so long ago, we'd say 1985. So you wouldn't say 1985 for 1985. So it'd be 1,985. Okay, so this last little bit of the extra, I want you to write down 4 numbers: the year you were born, the year you graduated from high school, the year you began college at ASU, which may have been this year for many of you, and the year you expect to graduate in the future. So that's 4 years, and just practice reading out those numbers, okay? That's it. Numbers 31 through 999,999,999. You can now say as you master these tens and these hundreds. So good job. As always, let me know what questions you have. Got my Zoom hours on Tuesdays and always available in chat or in email. Good luck, guys.